Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I am your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Before we take a look at what we're going to be discussing, we've got a huge wish to send out, and it is a birthday of a very, very special person, probably the life of this show as we speak it, the head of sports department at BTV World as well, and also when you talk about the dynamics of sports in BTV News, he's been a mentor, he's been a very dear brother, always been a guide as well. There have been times when you obviously need to see the way is clouded, but he's always been there to guide you through those times of thick and thin. And none other than Mr. Arsalan Abbas Shirazi has his birthday. So from all of us, a very happy birthday to you, lots of love. We wish that all the blessings of the Almighty come to you, all the happiness, all the joy there is in the world, and may you prosper and have many more fantastic birthdays to come. So once again, lots of love, dear brother, and very happy birthday to you, Mr. Arsalan Abbas Shirazi. That being said, let's take a look at what we're discussing. First of all, Pakistan, England, the first T20 international at the National Stadium in Karachi. England beat Pakistan convincingly, I must say. It was a match that was almost one-sided because of the way England had been playing, and they've done it in style, haven't they? They've played some quality cricket, and they have won the game convincingly. Obviously, when you talk about the English side, we did talk about them that they've got the quality, they've got the necessary players as well who can surprise you, and that's what they did. So Pakistan obviously couldn't muster up a safe total and then couldn't defend it. To some more T20 cricket around the world, India against Australia. Australia beating India, chasing down 209 runs with relative ease. Cameron Green amongst the run scorers, and Matthew Wade once again with a superb performance. Credit to India, Hardik Pandya was absolutely superb, so was Suryakumar Yadav. KL Rahul finally getting a half century and coming back in form as well. That's what we're discussing on the show tonight, and of course time now to introduce the guests in studios. First of all, we've been joined by cricket expert and coach Syed Mohammad Awais. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
How are you?
I'm very good. We've also been joined by sports expert Ali Abbas. Assalamu alaikum, Ali, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you for having me.
Right, Awais, no surprises. I think England had it easily, and like I said, it's a convincing victory.
No surprises, but for me, you know what the surprise was, because Pakistan is one of the team which is actually most spoken. I know, unfortunately, we lost the Asia Cup finals, but looking at the home conditions, Pakistan obviously it's a favourite over here. But you need to really appreciate England, because I mean the way they showed that aggressive intent in the batting, and one thing is clear on, because see, these conditions are not new for them, because many of the players, they do play Pakistan Super League over here, but many of the players now around the cricket league going on around in Asia specifically, they spend around more than 6 to 7 months over here, so they know how this wicket reacts. But the real problem for me was again that Pakistan middle order batting lineup, but the real concern was your pitch, because you're preparing for the World T20 coming up, and you have got the New Zealand series coming up over here. There was a news circulating that there might be 6 to 7 new pitches being prepared at Lahore and Karachi, but I didn't see that. I mean, because if you just watch out yesterday's match, as a fast bowler, it was really not that easy for the bowlers to bowl on over here, because it was a slow wicket. The ball wasn't getting much bounce what a fast bowler wanted. Even it did disturb the batsmen too, because many of the batsmen or the English batsmen, you know, they were out because of that uneven bounce.
Otherwise, that brings me to a very, very important point that I think should be analysed in detail, because the commentators mentioned that as well yesterday. But let's take a look at this report first of all, and then we'll come back. There you have it, all the details of the game as it progressed last night. Ali Abbas, your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I think Asad summed it up pretty well in his in the report that he prepared, because I'm not too concerned. The only thing that does worry me is our middle order. I think we just came from the Asia Cup, and they were really intense games that we played. And I know there were not a lot of T20s, but sometimes the impact of a tournament can take a toll on you, in losing a final and coming into play after 4 to 5 days. I know it's no excuse because all of the players are professional, but it can happen. The thing that's worrying me is our middle order. I was a huge advocate of bringing Shan Masood in the team, but seeing the way, I know we're going to talk about it later, but seeing how Australia opened with Finch and Cameron Green, right? I do not see a slogger in the top 3, which I think we should be adding. So I think the next 70-20s is going to be a huge puzzle for the selectors and the teams, the team management, along with the captain, to make sure who the top 3 are. And I think I've finally given into your opinion that Babar Azam should come down to number 3, because if he does not, then we will have a batting order which is bound to collapse or fall short of any target or any total which is supposed to be set up.
That's the point I was mentioning before. That report was one of the commentators picked up as well, that Pakistan traditionally should be playing spin well, should be playing leg spin, judging the googly well through the hand, because our dynamics have made us play traditionally spin bowling better than other nations around the world. But it's been completely haywire since the last couple of series, and if you look at the past 1 year, our batters have mostly struggled against the spinners.
See, it's your basic, the spin bowling needs to be tackled by a middle order batsman, and the middle order has been an issue for us that we have been speaking on from such a long period of time. Your middle order needs to be fixed up. Only just one batsman, if you remember, Shoaib Malik was way good against spin. I mean, I remember in the Asian conditions, if you just watch out his track record, I know in the conditions like Australia, he has struggled over there. So he was way much better against spin bowling in the Asian conditions. But it's your middle order specifically, I would say, that mindset to play spin bowling. I know that we are more intent to play spin, but if you just watch out many series, I mean, Pakistan has actually collapsed playing against spin bowling, whether if it's specifically against off spinners, they have much collapsed over here. Even against Sri Lanka, if you just remember, we collapsed over there. So Pakistan really needs to fix the middle order over here, because you need a batsman who has a strike rate, again I'm mentioning, of 150, 160 over here, because remember when they gave a good start to Pakistan in the opening department, Babar and both Rizwan, Haider Ali came to bat at one down position. I'm not criticizing him because he's playing after such a long period of time. It's not important that you need to give a go over here to Shan Masood, because Pakistan is more important than Shan Masood. You have to look the scenario of the match going on. You need to get a guy who can actually be a good pinch hitter, who can just get that 8 or 9 runs to 11 or 12 runs per over. But unfortunately, you missed that trick over here. If Iftikhar came up, you could have sent Iftikhar, because I'm talking of the squad which you are having right now, which squad is playing. You could have promoted Iftikhar before Shan to get the scorecard to go on, because you need a guy, again I'll tell, who has a strike rate of 140, 150 that we are missing in the team. Babar Azam coming at number 1 down position would be a best choice, because that actually makes your middle order a balanced side for you, because you'll obviously have Shan Masood in it, but Shan Masood playing at number 4 position, remember even Nasir Hussain did discuss about him, because he's a guy who has opened up the innings, who has played 1 down position. 2 or 3 shots of him were really good, I would say, but that again in the T20, when you have a good platform going on, you need a guy at number 4 position, not Shan Masood. You need a guy who can score 150, 160 with a strike rate.
That's very important that the position, the batting order is identified before going to that World Cup, because that becomes very, very essential. Ali Abbas, what should be the case now? Obviously, Haider's natural number is also up the order. If we want him to play the World Cup, probably at number 3, probably because of the fluency he's got with the bat.
Ahmed, I think I'm going to be a little more brave. I think we should open with Haider and Rizwan and bring Babar 1 down. Just seeing what Australia did last night with Cameron Green, I know David Warner is probably going to occupy that spot going into the World Cup, but we don't really have an aggressor in the first 6 overs. We tried Fakhr, he failed. I mean, obviously for the last 1.5 years, who is that one person in the top 3 who's not going to look right, left and just slog every ball that he finds? Someone like play the Virender Sehwag role that he used to play back in the day. You have 6 overs with all of the fielders inside. Why not give that to someone like Haider Ali? So I think we need a slogger amongst the top 3. And Shan Masood, I think if Babar and Rizwan are going to play, which is the case, despite the form, because obviously one is the captain, one is your wicket keeper, Shan Masood does not really have a spot in the team at the moment. We thought we would bring him in for Fakhr, but seeing what happened last night, I mean, I know it's too early. I'm not doubting the quality of Shan Masood. I think he does merit a spot, but it's time we bring a slogger amongst the openers who can open with Rizwan. And Babar, like Steve Smith, came in last night. I mean, he didn't play the quickest, but he gave that solid foundation, which let the team chase more than 200 runs later on. So not going too much into the Australian game, but having someone just like Cameron Green up there, who if he fires, he will score as many runs as you want at a quick rate. And if he does not, you have someone like Babar Azam just to come down and solidify something which is collapsing. So that kind of approach, if someone can talk some sense into PCB, our very own, the legendary Saklan Mushtaq, Ravi Shastri 2.0, or Babar Azam himself, I'm sure that things might improve.
That's very important to actually analyze this in a perspective for the World Cup. Obviously, this series will be there. But Wes, then that means that going towards the World Cup, we've got a tri-series
to go with the experienced campaigners, because you're playing in Australia. Remember the New Zealand tour, the New Zealand squad which was selected yesterday, they had more experienced campaigners in it. So obviously you'll try with the experienced players over here. But again, I'll say that you need to really rectify who your middle order would be for that World T20, because I know Iftikhar, many of them do criticize him, but he performed well in Australia. Remember the last series which we played in Australia, he performed well in the last match. He has performed for Pakistan, But again, you need a guy other than Iftikhar who can actually go for big hits over here. I would go with my brother, like he said about Shan Masood, because see, when you have Babar Azam, when you have Rizwan opening up the innings, that means Shan Masood does not have a place in the squad, because he's a guy who bats up the order. He's not the guy who's going to be batting at number 4th or 5th position for in the T20s, because you need a good strike rate.
That becomes a big sacrifice.
Batsman over here. Haider Ali would be a good choice, rightly pointed, because remember, he even batted as an opening department for Peshawar Zalmi. He even has opened up for under 19 Pakistan, and you need a guy who can be a good slogger with Rizwan. Get 6 overs at least, who can just pile up 70-80 runs for you, get a good start for you. Babar Azam then on the third end could actually come and support your middle order. So you really will have to work on your middle order, who's going to be a 4th, 5th and 6th position. That's the main concern.
But that becomes a very important scenario, and I'll ask both Awais and Ali Abbas to comment on this. Ali, will come to you first of all, that how important does Shadab Khan then become in this equation as a utility batter who is promoted up the order?
Ahmed, he is a very important batsman for the team, but the one concern that I have with Shadab Khan is that I think he's probably our best player of spin in the middle order, but he does not have the strength in him to hit long sixes, and with the boundaries that we should be expecting in Australia, I really don't see where Shadab Khan fits in. If you try to bring him in the last 2 to 3 overs, he's going to struggle to cross the boundary with his hits. If you bring him on earlier, like Shadab Khan is our best T20 cricketer at the moment in terms of the impact he has. He'll bowl well, he'll field well, he'll bat well. But where exactly do we use him? Because we know his limitations and we know the amount of talent which he has to explode. So I'm really not sure about where he fits in. Do you want to play him as an anchor? Do you want him to be the one down? And I don't know, like there's so many things that you can do with Shadab Khan, and I think maybe we're blessed with a lot of quality as well, is one of the reasons why we're having this discussion. But one point that I'm just going to add to what Awais mentioned right now about Iftikhar, the people of Pakistan need to know that if you criticize Iftikhar, name one player in our domestic circuit or in PSL or in our reserves who can replace Iftikhar. The job that Iftikhar, just name one player that you think is going to come in and replace Iftikhar right away. And please do not.
How about Ahmed Shehzad?
I think it's not so just give me an example. Give me one name that can replace Iftikhar. So when we do criticize players, just know that we're not blessed with a lot of players like him, and we have to make do with what we have.
I'll just come to that point. Ali, I'll come back to you with that point. I'm going to come back to that Iftikhar point. But Awais, first of all, I want your comments on Shadab's player. I think we all look for match winners in a team, and he becomes that complete product for you.
See, he's a guy who's actually leading well the Pakistan team as a vice captain, and he, as an all-rounder, obviously he's got all the germs in him. What you need as a genuine all-rounder. He's good. He's really good against spin. Even he's good against fast bowling lineup too, when you require that hard hitting for him. And as a spinner, he has been consistently performing well for Pakistan. But the thing is that, Ahmed bhai, you just can't win matches on a one person. It can be just 1 or 2 matches, not a whole tournament. You need to have 2 to 3 guys who can win you big tournaments. So it would be really good. See, Iftikhar, obviously he's going to be in the Pakistan team. Whatever our general public says, believe me, even Umair bhai, even Ahmed bhai says that the
you
guy
mentioned
he has been
that before
well.
the show. But Awais, then the fact that you mentioned he's got the ability to hit at any time, he can construct an innings as well. The only thing management can do is when needed, he can be promoted up the order.
See, that's the thing I'm saying on. Yesterday, when there was a good start going on, the thing was that they could have promoted Iftikhar up the Shan Masood and and let him say that, see, you have got a strike rate. I guess we were going on 8 runs per over. You need to pile that to 12 runs per over, and he's got the tendency to do it. Unfortunately, our people start criticizing him, that saying, unfortunately, there's a name called Chacha and all that. The thing is that that person performed well for you in the Pakistan Super League. He's performed well in Australia. Remember, he's the guy who's perfectly fits up over here, who can construct the innings and who can go with big sixes. What he had done yesterday, I would say. The real concern for me is that you need someone with Iftikhar who can actually support him for major hits, because that's the point where you can actually get your runs from 8 runs to 11 or 12 runs per over. Look at what Australia did yesterday. I mean, because what we were discussing on, they have got that tendency batting lineup. They, Cameron, if I'm not wrong, even he's not in the World T20 squad in the way he performed yesterday. Then look at the batting order. They have got a strong batting order which bats till number 6 or 7 position. Just that Maxwell position is, I would say, it's just not justified because of his performance. So you need that kind of a batting over who can be aggressive, who need to score. Whatever the result is, they need to be aggressive.
Definitely, that would be the case. Let's just go towards a short break, but when we come back, we'll of course discuss this in detail. Where can we tick those boxes for the World Cup and take it forward? Right after this break. Stay tuned.
I'm a big fan of him because Ahmed Bhai, I've seen that guy. Remember when I was speaking the other show, I've seen him. He made a debut for Australia. In Australia, he totally flopped. He played at every kind of position. He was out of the team. Now he's an integral part of the team. I mean, because they have given him a long run over here. Unfortunately, we don't do that. I mean, because and he's one kind of a batsman. You really need a hard-hitting batsman in that kind of position.
How exciting! How exciting is Tim David going to be now? A prospect. We've seen him in the PSL, but now in Australia and those national colours.
One thing is really good that Pakistan Super League has given big stars to different teams. I mean, even that Brook you can just watch on.
Even Alex Hales come
Alex
back
Hales,
now.
I mean, Livingston. That guys have been from here. I mean, even David Milan, I would say. But Tim David, a baseball kind of a style. You could just see. I know he hasn't played that big innings, but 18 score was a good one from him. That big hit from him, that 6, I mean, baseball style. He's a tall, hard-hitting batsman and a guy who moved from Singapore to, I would say, Australia. He deserved that because he has been one of the, I would say, strong top contender for every cricket league around the world. And he performed really well. And this kind of wickets do suit him because, I mean, remember, he's a guy who loves to ball on the waist height, I mean, and he performed well even in the Pakistan Super League. It would be an eye-opener for him for the Australia World T20 because you really need him in the middle order who can aggressively bat for you and who can even construct the innings. One thing is good about David, like what we discussed about even Iftikhar, that he knows how to construct the innings to that, getting the scoreboard to go on.
All of the top 11 know how to construct an innings in Australia.
See, I mean, not us, but their team. I mean, because they're basically they're known to play in that kind of condition. They love the fast bowlers to bowl at the.
But appreciate Australia, but then identify that Indian Cricket Board right now looks in all heave of problems. Rohit Sharma, I fail to understand what is happening on the field.
See, on a lighter note, we say one thing that Pakistan team, it won't be an easy task for Pakistan to win the 2022 World Cup because they're going to be playing Australia. But on the other hand, I know many of them do speak about India that they're a strong contender, but believe me, the way they have been going on, I don't think so they would even qualify for the main
next round.
Because, you know, because there are some problems, and frankly, you can see that. I remember they used to say that Virat Kohli is not a mature cricketer. He's a kid. I mean, the way he gets aggressive over here. But one thing I've seen in Virat Kohli, when the captainship was gone, when he left the captainship, now it seems that he's calm. He's a senior campaigner. I know he has gone through that bad patches of batting, but Rohit Sharma, I mean, he has been totally exposed over here because you can't be aggressive on the field. See, I'll tell you one thing, because I've been a part of many teams. If you want to be aggressive, if you want to show your anger, don't show it on the field, I mean. You could do whatever you want to do in the dressing room. It's not that to show it. Yeah, you don't show it on the field.
Can we say a lobby system right now is identified in the Indian dressing room?
100% I would say, because I remember when Ravi Shastri was the coach and there were talks going on that Virat Kohli isn't in the good books and all that. And many of them used to say, no, I don't think so, there are differences. But now you can see that, I mean, because there are some differences between Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. And might be that grouping kind of a thing might be going on in the Indian team. But personally, again, I would say because Rohit Sharma has led really well, not the Indian team, the league teams, I would say. And he was a strong contender for captainship. But the way, I don't think so what's going on in his mind. I mean, he really needs to be cooled on. The management, the BCCI needs to speak to him, specifically Saurav Ganguly has been one of the best captains, I would say. He needs to speak to him that you need to calm down. See, ups and downs do go on. I mean, you can't scream on your bowlers. I remember even when we were playing the Asia Cup and that left-arm fast bowler, he was even screaming on him. And that same scenario was yesterday when India was almost losing that match. So you can't do that, because I always say one thing. Your body language of your country depends upon the body language of your captain.
That's very interesting you mentioned this point, because over the years we have always praised the talent in India, their structure, the Ranji Trophy, the youngsters, then the IPL and the money involved. But now it's very clear that everything with Team India was solely because of MS Dhoni, because he kept it together. After his departure, this same talent has been identified as not being match winners on the big stage.
Yeah, Ahmed, see, the biggest statement by Virat Kohli, remember, recently was that when I was actually left out of the team when my bad performances were, no one actually even rang me up to say, how are you?
Only MSD.
Oh, it was only MS Dhoni. So that's a big statement on the TV channel. Believe me, it's a big statement. And even that's a big question mark on the many of the cricketers, I would say, and the board of Indian Cricket Board, what were they doing on? Because he's one of the top class batsman, everyone knows that. I know he's gone through bad patches, but I remember MS Dhoni, whatever the situation used to be, remember that smiling face, and he used to inhale that pressure, never kept on his face. I mean,
Yeah,
never
let it
saw
come
that
out. Yeah.
fatigue on him. That's what he created, that kind of a atmosphere in the Indian team. Indian team under his captaincy was one of the world-class team. If you remember, everyone knew that they are going to be performing well against whatever country they play on. Even we used to be under pressure, Pakistan, I would say. So the thing is that I'm really shocked to see what's going on in the Indian camp. I mean, specifically about the differences between Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. You can clearly see that on the field too, I would say. I didn't see much of them talking to each other. Secondly, if you just watch out even the dressing room, I would say what's inside the dressing room atmosphere looks a little bit disturbing for me. The BCCI really needs to think about it, because if this goes on, believe me, I don't think so India would qualify for the next round.
That can be a big problem, and we might see this in the future as well. But the fact is that there are problems, and one thing is for sure, Avais, I think the final word from you would be that without Jasprit Bumrah, this is a clueless bowling attack.
See, two things I would say. I mean, just not Bumrah, it's even Shami, because I mean, he had been a leading fast bowler for India. Unfortunately, he is in the reserves over here. Bumrah was a main candidate because, you know, with his pacey death bowling delivery, he has done a lot of job for India. But unfortunately, due to his injury period, they brought in Yadav. I mean, I was actually a little bit shocked for the fast-paced bowling, because he played in English county. He was injured over there. So I thought that he won't carry for India, but they made him up over here. You remember they had Imran Malik. Many of them spoke about him that he would be a speed gun for Australia. But that kid even is not much experienced to play in this kind of conditions right now. So they are struggling with that patch over here. But the real concern for me, it's not the batting. One or two batsmen, I would say. It's a gel up unit, I mean, because you can't see that gelled up unit of India, what they were used to. Because spin bowling, still they are trying the level best to get the best out of spin bowling. They have got a strong bench lineup, but still they haven't been able to click in the playing 11. Secondly, if you just watch out, many batsmen, many of the Indian players, I mean, what I've seen, they are more towards Virat Kohli. They don't speak much to Rohit Sharma, what I've seen even in the field.
The comfort level isn't
there.
there.
The comfort zone isn't there. So this all things are going on, because I've seen many of the pictures, videos coming up. Pant specifically, because he has been an integral part of India. He mostly is comfortable with Virat Kohli. I've seen him speaking to him. I've seen him spending time with him, but I haven't seen spending time with the skipper. So there are things going on. So the Indian team really needs to think about it.
Definitely. Avais, thank you very much for joining us on the show. That wraps it up from me and the entire team. Until our next show, we'll of course be talking about this in detail. But one thing is for sure for all of you, that Indian team is in all heaves of problem, especially Rohit Sharma, his captaincy, his form. That is something that needs to be identified on every sports platform and discussed in detail. That wraps it up from me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now.